All right, welcome everyone to the Eagles Power Hour podcast, your official, unofficial affiliate of Eastern Washington football on the Big Sky Podcast Network, as well as a member of SBS Fans Nation Network. On the FCS or the Fans Nation YouTube channel. I'm your host Patrick Frakes. I know it's kind of weird not hearing Kyler Neal there. Kyler's busy; he has a life. I don't, so I'm here recording podcasts for you guys. Quick introduction on me. I'm a 20-year-old college student. I was born in Spokane, grew up in Cheney until I was about 5 or 6 years old, moved out, but I grew up a diehard Eastern Washington fan. Um, went to as many games as I could. I've gone to a game every year except for the COVID year since I was about 5 years old. Well, even younger than that, probably about 3 years old. Just I've been a diehard fan my whole life. I'm a college student at the University of Idaho, and before you start throwing tomatoes, guys, I am always going to be an Eastern Washington fan. Eastern will always be my number one team, and the Tubbs guys, you can take a middle finger right to the face. Okay. I'm also a guy that contributes on Tubbs the Club at times. I do some writing for them, so I love those guys. But you guys can fuck off right now. Anyways, um, what we're doing here today is a recruit breakdown episode, talking about this early signing period recruiting class. We're going to talk about the class a little bit as a whole, and then if you've been following the Twitter account for EPH or in Eagle Nation Athletics Facebook group, you've already seen these short breakdowns of each player individually. But I'm going to play all those for you guys, edited together, as well as give a little summary about everyone before, and that'll be the podcast for today. So, talking about the class now, we had 23 players sign for the early signing period, 15 of which were offensive players, 8 of which defensive players. 18 of these guys are high school recruits, which is a good thing to see for a developmental team like Eastern Washington. 5 of which were transfers. I believe 4 of them were junior college transfers, and 1 FBS transfer down from UTEP. 10 of our guys were from California, 8 from Washington, 2 from Idaho, 1 from Nevada, 1 from British Columbia, and 1 from Arizona. Um, it was a very offensive heavy class, 15 of which being offensive guys. And it was a very explosive offensive class. I really like this class. I think it's one of the more explosive and one of the bigger playmaking type classes we've had in a number of years here. A lot of speed and a lot of ball skills is kind of the the theme of the offensive side of things. And then when it comes to that's the offensive skill, I guess I should say. When it comes to more of the box guys on offense, the offensive line, a lot of big frames that are athletic. That was kind of the theme to me. There was a lot more athleticism in this offensive line class than a couple of the line classes in the past, which is a good thing to see because I think that's something that we've struggled with on the offensive line, blocking those second level defenders, blocking those linebackers in the run game. I think that's something that some of these dudes in this class that will really excel in, which is something that I'm really excited for the future there. Um, Tight end wise, it was a lot of big frames with athleticism, a lot of speed, and a lot of ball skills there. With big 6'5", 6'4", 6'6" frames that are fun to see there. Guys with a lot of potential and the length to play the Y position or the F position, and some guys with some really elite ball skills there as well. Defensively, uh, it was a lower quantity, but I think it was a higher quality class overall for me. I think a number of these guys on the defensive side of the ball have potential to, make very early impacts into their Eastern Washington careers. Um, Especially some of these, safety guys. I really like the two things that I'm really excited for with this defensive class. We brought in 2 guys that are, that 6'2", close to 200 pounds, that were kind of hybrid DB slash linebackers in high school, and they played safety played safety in high school, and then they're kind of more of a tackling safety. I think that's a archetype that we've been missing in this 4-2-5 defense at Eastern Washington. That defensive back whose primary role is to come down and tackle in the run game as well as cover, but can do both. Um, I think that's so important for this 4-2-5 scheme that we've ran at Eastern for so many years, and so having someone like that will be really helpful. It will help this run defense out that's been struggling. A lot of that load was put on in the run game was put on the safeties to come up and tackle in 2023, and I think getting some bigger guys in that role is going to be really important. A guy like Tice Donovan coming in as a safety at 6'3", 195 pounds. A guy like Connor Walker who's coming in at 6 foot, I believe he's like 6'2", 210 pounds or something like that, playing linebacker. But he played safety in high school. You know, I think those hybrid type guys really important to the 4-2-5. Think of a Cole Wisniewski at North Dakota State. If you guys remember that game in week one, dude's just a tackling machine, but plays a DB spot technically. I believe it's Bryson Ott, number 26 at Montana State. He's technically a safety, but he plays that slot kind of rover spot, and he's really good tackler. Um, that's something that we brought in with guys in this class, and I really like that. As well as we brought in a stud of a middle linebacker in Shea Robertson. Really excited for him. He's a tackling machine there. Dude that can hit like a truck. You'll hear it from the stands for sure this year or next year whenever he ends up making his impact. But you know, I think linebackers those say are really important in this scheme, and being able to consistently tackle and not get burnt with misdirection, because that's what killed Eastern Washington in 2023 was that misdirection, like playing the running back and then the quarterback pulls it and runs for 30 yards, or you know just those, that's a good example, I guess I would say. That misdirection really messed with our players in 2023. I think our linebackers got burnt a lot, our edge guys got burnt a lot, lost contain, and big gains. That's how the big games happened. We weren't getting in a lot of games we weren't just getting gashed in the run game. It was, they run up the middle, we'll stuff it. We're not getting out physical really on the line most of the time. Um, it was a lot of misdirection, not being gap sound, and getting beat by cutbacks, getting beat by misdirection counters, stuff like that. And so I like that we. It seems like we brought in guys that fit that mold on the defensive side of the ball. I'm really excited about these defensive guys, even though there's not as many bodies. Uh, I think most of these guys are really high quality recruits that have potential to make impacts pretty early into their career. As well as I know the lack of defense was kind of a concern among Eastern Washington fans there. This is also something that Coach Best kind of addressed on the Flight Report podcast with Larry Weir. He talked about the last year's recruiting class and the year before that. We're very defensive heavy. There's a lot of guys in those classes that didn't make early impacts but are going to make impacts in 2024. Or guys that rotated in 2023 and played well but will be stepping into bigger roles in 2024 that the Eastern coaching staff's really excited for. I think there's a number of guys there that will be good, serviceable guys, will be good playmakers for Eastern Washington that are coming in as, redshirt freshmen, redshirt sophomores, coming into their more, typical playing years of their career. And I I'm not too concerned about the low number of defensive guys. It's like I said earlier, lower quantity, higher quality class in my opinion, defensively. And I think complements what we had going the last 2 years on the defensive side of the ball as well as defenses the side of the ball that Coach Best has talked about addressing through the portal. Uh, on the Flight Report podcast, he said he really wants to add someone at that defensive end spot to be a veteran presence, losing both of the defensive ends from last year, Demarcus Johnson and Brock Harrison, um, as well as he wanted to add a cornerback, possibly, losing Marlon Jones Jr., and maybe even a linebacker. We lost two senior linebackers last year. Both were portal additions as well. So, we'll see. Well, at least two. I might be wrong. There might have been another one, but I cannot remember. But anyways, losing a couple contributors at that linebacker spot, more young guys will be stepping up, but there is some older guys there. I think he might be just looking for more of a playmaking backer there. But you know, I think this team will step up defensively next year. So, but point of this podcast is the recruiting class. So, you know, it like I said, it's one of the better recruiting classes we've had the last number of years. I'm really excited about it. I think the coaching staff's really excited about it. And without further ado, here I will play all of the individual recruits videos. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Um, if there's any weird cuts, it's because I had to make them fit into the 2 minute 20-second time slot for Twitter. So I apologize for that, and bear with me. I've never really podcasted before, so I can stumble around my words. I started getting better at it towards the end of the recruiting class, but some of these first couple videos are kind of rough for me to listen back on. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Uh, yeah, thank you.
Alrighty, so recruit number one that we're going to be talking about here is three-star quarterback out of Emerald Ridge High School, Jake Skakel. Uh, the first thing you really notice with Jake's film is he has some great pocket presence. He can just make dudes miss, free rushers, whatever pressure in his face. He makes a miss, keeps his eyes downfield, and delivers an accurate throw. Um, Jake is a very accurate passer, particularly in the short to intermediate passing game. He's very accurate, has a solid arm there, throws darts, and he's able to fit the ball in really tight windows that you just don't see typically with most high school quarterbacks. He's not the biggest arm you've ever seen in the world, but he can lay a ball out there for his receiver and let him go get it. He does a great job of getting the ball to his guys in space and has great rhythm in the screen and short passing game that just gives his guys a chance to go make a play. Jake has experience in a spread offense similar to Eastern's, running a lot of RPO stuff. He made a lot of great decisions in the RPO game and was able to excel in that offense. He's a very smart player. His dad was the head coach at Emerald Ridge, and just coming in with that experience with the RPO game is great to have, because that's one of those big adjustments for a lot of high school guys, is adjusting to having to read a linebacker and a safety to decide where you're going with the ball pre-snap or post-snap, excuse me, rather than just reading an end or, not having those RPO options available and being told in your head, in your ear, whatever, what you're supposed to do pre-snap. Um, Something to note, Jake is the highest rated quarterback recruit we've had at Eastern since Eric Barrier, and, that's good company to have with you there. Super excited for Jake. He's a guy that one of the guys that I'm most excited for in this class. I think he's a guy that could take over and be a starter here in a couple of years. Quick couple high school stats: he passed for 3,000 yards, 39 touchdowns, 71% completion percentage. He rushed for just shy of 300 yards and 3 touchdowns as well. He's not a shocking athlete, but he can use his legs a little bit. He plays a lot like a Gage guru. So thank you guys, and hope you enjoyed.
Next recruit we're going to be covering here is running back out of Helix High School in La Mesa, California, Kevin Allen III. Kevin is a dude that is just a walking touchdown. He's coming in a little bit undersized for what most big schools would like to see, but he's a dude with the athleticism to be at a big time school. He's listed at 5'10", 180 pounds. He's a smaller guy, but holy crap, he makes up for that in his speed and quickness. The man is just explosive. He's the fastest dude on the field at all times, and he'll run by freaking anyone. He was an electric kick returner in high school and did nothing but make big plays, man. Um, I love that he uses his speed north and south. He's not a guy that's going to run sideline to sideline. He can, but he's not going to do that. He's not going to be one of those running backs that sits there and tries to dance to make a big play every play. He just runs north and south, gets his yards, and he ends up breaking those big plays because he has a strong lower body and can run through a few tackles. But he has the speed to just run by anyone and make a move to, just make dudes miss. Despite being small, like I just previously said, he has a really strong lower body and he has good running form, gets his knees high. He's able to run through any like arm tackles and stuff like that. Sometimes when you have those smaller running backs, they go down really easy. That's not the case for Kevin. He's a dude that's going to run through contact and go make those big plays. He has some big playability from the backfield that's just really eye popping, and I'm super excited to see uh, at Eastern. I don't expect to see him year one. I think he's going to be a redshirt and develop type guy. They're going to try to put some more weight on him. Being a running back, you want to be a stronger, more developed guy. But holy smokes, I cannot wait to see him on the red. He's a big play type guy, super explosive speed, and I think he'll be sort of like a Dennis Merritt type player, dude that can hurt you both in the pass and the run game. Just super excited to see Kevin Allen on the red, and I can't wait to see him. All right, next recruit we're going to talk about here is three-star wide receiver out of Chandler, Arizona, Jackson Branch. He's listed at 6'3", 185 pounds, and the dude is just a playmaker. He's the highest rated recruit we've signed here to Eastern Washington in over 10 years. I believe 2012 was the last time we had someone as highly rated as him. He came to Eastern with some pack. He chose Eastern over some Big 12 offers. Um, the first thing that really jumps off the tape physically for him is just some elite ball skills. He comes down with some insanely contested catches, makes some really flashy big time plays, big time catches, down the sideline, fade routes, stuff like that in the back of the end zone that just make you go, wow. It reminds me a lot of watching Brandon Kaufman highlights, and he has a similar build to Brandon Kaufman. He's not quite as tall as Brandon Kaufman was, but he has a similar build and a similar play style to what Brandon Kaufman was for Eastern Washington. Jackson's not the crispest route runner in the world, but he gets open. He has great feel against zone coverage, finding those soft spots in the zone, and he's fast enough and has the physical tools to beat man coverage. And if he can't run away from his defender, he'll go catch the ball over his defender's head. The dude shows great effort at all times. He has a whole section of his highlights dedicated to blocking, and he was a good blocker on the outside. And that pairs really well with what Eastern likes to do in the quick screen game, and the outside run game, stuff like that. That you need to depend on your receivers to go make a block. Jackson's a dude that's not afraid to be gritty and go make that block and really give you full effort. He's a dude that plays with a lot of passion and a lot of energy, and I just love to see it because it's just he's going to be a little energy bolt to that offense. If Eastern's struggling or something like that, if he makes a catch, the whole sideline's going to get excited. I realistically think he's going to be a contributor as early as year one, if not year two. I think he'll be able to rotate in at that receiver spot in 2024. But he's a dude that looks really polished to me already, and I'm really excited to see what's to come for Jackson. Next recruit we're going to be covering here is three-star wide receiver out of Damien High School in Laverne, California, Aiden Gutierrez. Aiden is just a freaking speedster. The dude has some eye-popping speed that just jumps off the tape at you, and it really impressed me how easily he just runs by guys like in this play right here. Um, he has some great change of direction as well. In some of the highlights, we see him catching some shorter routes, and he's just able to shimmy away and make guys miss. Guys just can't touch him in the open field. That's really impressive. Uh, he also was a guy that has some really good hands. Despite only being 5'11", 180 pounds, the dude can go up and make some seriously impressive contested catches. Um, I was really surprised knowing he's 5'11". You don't typically see those guys going up and making those contested catches outside of their frame that often, but he does that constantly in his tape. Um, I think his avenue to the field early will be on special teams. Dude was one of the more electric kick returners I've seen on film in doing my recruit breakdowns this year. I think he's a dude that could impact the game right away as a freshman in the kick return game. As you see again here, the dude just has a different speed on special teams that he just dominates there. He runs by everyone. He's getting him the ball in space is just a dangerous play. Um, Overall, Gutierrez looks just he's a lightning bolt type of explosive guy, and I'm really excited to see his impacts in the kick return game. But also, I think I don't expect to see him on the field right away on offense. But I mean, honestly, he probably could rotate in and be perfectly fine with the speed he has. Um, I just that room is loaded, so I think he'll be more of a special teams guy at first, and then after some of the upperclassmen take off, I think Gutierrez is going to be a great receiver for the Eastern Eagles. Alrighty, next recruit we're covering here is junior college wide receiver Noah Cronquist. He's coming out of Moore Park College he'll be a junior next year, so he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. He's originally from Moore Park, California, and he's a Southern Utah bounce back. He went to Southern Utah University first, playing receiver, ended up bouncing back, going to junior college, and now he's back up in the Big Sky with Eastern Washington. Um, he's a very speedy little slot receiver. He's not a dude that wows you with his physical abilities, but he's very quick, and he produces a lot for his team. He Last year at Moore Park, he received for over 1,000 yards on 81 receptions and averaged over 100 yards per game and 13 touchdowns. He was a great returner at Moore Park as well. I believe he averaged over 20 yards a return on the kickoff side and averaged almost 30 yards per return on the punt return side, as well as took two back to the house. Um, he has some really solid hands and he has some solid speed, but just overall his physical abilities don't shock you, but he just really produces. He's a dude that constantly makes plays, especially over the seam and over the middle, and I think he'll be a really solid player for Eastern, a dude that could step in right away and be a consistent and reliable target for Kikoa, who was a little younger, a little bit less experienced, but now he's coming in with a little bit more experience. So I think getting him some older receivers in there, along with a guy like Eston Chisholm, a guy like Nolan Olm, will just give Kikoa those reliable targets, and that'll allow him to produce more efficiently than he did in 2023. I'm assuming he'll be playing pretty much right away, being a junior guy, a JUCO guy, but probably a rotational role, similar to how most receivers get used at Eastern in general. But yeah, excited to see what Noah brings to Cheney. Alrighty, the next recruit we're going to be covering here is junior college wide receiver Jalen Garrison, coming in to Eastern with 2 years of eligibility out of Fresno City College. He's originally from Henderson, Nevada. He is listed at 5'11", 175 pounds, and he's one of those dudes that, for me, watching the tape, his physical abilities really, really impress me. He is extremely fast and extremely quick, and it has these change of direction skills that you just don't see very often. Uh, he's a dude. He's going to be a big play threat that is one of those dudes that's just impossible to touch. I think he's going to make an immediate impact for Eastern. He's going to be a stud for the Eags. Um, like I said, he has some elite speed. I believe he runs a 10.7 second 100-yard dash, which is like extremely good. I just overall, he's just one of those dudes that really, really impresses you physically. Um, he didn't play as much as you might expect at Fresno City College. I tried to do some research. There's not very much out for the junior college stuff, so I don't know if he was injured or what exactly happened there. There's only 7 games of stats posted for him. Even though he was listed as a sophomore, it looked like he only played 7 games of football at Fresno City College. I don't know exactly what that's all about, but yeah, Jalen has some really impressive hands for being a shorter guy. Some ball skills that really jump off the tape at you as well. Like overall, watching his tape, the dude just looks like a stud that will make an immediate impact in Cheney. Uh, Again, likely rotational, like we always see at Eastern, but I think he's a dude with potential to be, you know, one of those guys that gets looked at for an all conference type of situation. I could be wrong there, but I'm really excited for Jalen. You guys have to go watch this highlight tape in its entirety. I'll have it linked in the tweet. But yeah, super excited for what Jalen will bring to Cheney. Alrighty, next one up is two-star tight end coming out of Post Falls High School, Asher Bowie. Asher is originally from Worley, Idaho. He's coming in at 6'5", 220 pounds. You know, kind of a prototypical big frame, kind of skinny, needs to put on some weight before they're a candidate for serious playing time. But Asher's fast, man. For being a 6'5" guy playing he played more of a wing off ball tight end type role. The dude was always open over the middle. And he's one of those dudes that if if he gets the ball in space, he's gonna take off and go. He has some great speed, being the size that he is, and he's fast enough that he's not gonna get caught from behind from a linebacker or a safety. So at least that was the case in high school. I'm not sure if it would be in college, but it is good to see from a big dude like that some great speed. Um, he doesn't have the most impressive ball skills in the world, but he's a consistent catch. He's consistent with his hands. He'll catch the ball. He can go get one every once in a while. Use his size and length to his advantage. Go up and get that jump ball in the end zone. But to me, his speed over the middle and his ability to get open over the middle was more impressive than any other part of his game. He looks like a dude that could develop into a good blocker. Right now, he kind of He dominates with a lot of size, being the biggest dude on the field. He has some form things that I would like to see cleaned up. That will by the coaching staff once he gets too Cheney. Little things like he gets his hands a little wide sometimes and needs to keep his feet going. But he's a dude with a lot of potential. He has some great speed. He's a big frame and big target over the middle for your quarterback, and super excited to see what Asher develops into. He's kind of a to me he looks a little bit of a raw guy that has a lot of talent and a lot of size that we could tap into at Eastern and really develop him into a great tight end for the Eagles. So you know a dude to just keep your eye on. He's going to be a developmental type guy. He's a red shirt, put on some weight, but can't wait to see him. All right, next recruit we're talking about here is two-star tight end out of Southridge High School from Kennewick, Washington, Gavin Allen. Uh, Gavin is a big frame. Gavin is 6'6", 220 pounds coming in as a freshman. Um, he's one of those dudes that again, he's gonna probably redshirt and add weight to get up to Division 1 weight at for tight end. But he's a dude that plays with a whole lot of effort. To me, the blocking really jumped off the tape initially. To go along with that big frame, the dude blocks very hard, and he carves a lot of space out. He's really on tape. He looks really skinny to me, and it really blew my mind how easily he just drove dudes back. Typically, when you see a tall, skinny tight end, it's tough for them to drive dudes back because guys can kind of get under their pads and drive them back a little bit. They don't have that low center of gravity to push guys forward. But Gavin doesn't have that problem. He just drives dudes back, carves out space like a damn offensive tackle on the edge. He really made that whole offense go at Southridge High School. They ran kind of a wing T-ish type thing where they ran a lot of sweeps to the strong side where Gavin was playing tight end and Gavin sets that edge so they could run it off of his butt and go get their yardage. Gavin also played a little bit split out wide. To me, he didn't have the most eye-catching speed or agility or athleticism in general, but he has some solid hands. He makes tough catches. He holds onto the ball through contact, and he's a dude that's going to play through the whistle every play. Uh, the first play of the highlight tape is one where he catches the ball with two dudes draped on him, and then he just keeps his feet running, keeps driving towards the end zone, eventually breaks out of like five dudes that had him wrapped up to go take the ball the extra 10 yards to the end zone. He's a dude that makes plays despite not being the flashiest athlete overall. I think if once he gets up to about 230, 240 pounds, uh, that extra weight is going to help him develop into an absolutely studly blocking tight end for the Eagles that can go make a big play in the pass game as well. So can't wait to see him develop into a dominant blocker for the Eagles. Alrighty, next recruit we're covering here is three-star tight end Linden Christian High School, Caden Stute. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, please let me know, family, friends of Caden, or Caden yourself. Caden's coming in at 6'3", 230 pounds at the tight end spot. He's a little bit undersized, but you know what he lacks in size there, he totally makes up for. One with his incredible ball skills. The dude can go make some incredible catches. Has very strong hands. Could go make a one-handed catch over the shoulder, like we see here up in this next clip. The dude can go make a contested catch over two or three guys. One thing to note, he did play 1A high school football, so small school gem. He's a dude that kind of could dominate at the high school level with size and physicality more than your average guy. But I think the finesse part of his game is what impressed me the most on tape. So I mean, I think that's kind of it's gonna translate over to college as he puts more weight on these first couple of years. I'm not sure if he's gonna be a guy that's gonna play right away, but he's a dude with the speed and ball skills to develop into an elite receiving tight end for Eastern. Um, he played most of his snaps out wide as a receiver, and so we don't really get to see him block a ton. But in the snaps that we do see him block, he blocks well. He has good form. He keeps his feet moving, and like I said, he played 1A high school, so he kind of just dominated physically. But he had good form while doing it. He keeps his feet chugging. He doesn't stop. He doesn't stop his feet. Um, Overall, he just looks like he looks like a solid blocker with some exceptional ball skills, some exceptional ability to move at that tight end position. Um, I think he's a dude that with 2 or 3 years under the a Division 1 strength and conditioning program. He's going to be a 240, 250 pound dude that can go make a one-handed catch over the top. Like just an absolute mismatch nightmare because he can move so well. Just with a little bit more strength and a little bit more beef, I think he's a dude that could be like an all conference type tight end, and I'm super excited to see where his career goes at Eastern. So, yeah, can't wait to see him. He's going to be a guy I'm going to keep my eyes on in fall camp. Alrighty, so the next recruit we're going to cover here is junior college tight end coming to Cheney from Butte College, originally from Sutter, California, tight end Landon Cooper. Landon Cooper's coming in at 6'3", 235 pounds, and despite being a little bit undersized for a Division 1 tight end, the dude just dominates physically. On his Butte College tape, we just see the dude be a very, very explosive blocker. The dude can drive someone back. The dude can make every block from the tight end spot that you're looking for. He can set your edge. He can kick out block. He can pull and be a lead blocker around the inside. He can be a lead blocker like a fullback type role. And overall, he just always was dominant blocking for Butte College. And the thing about JUCO is it's not like high school where you're just the biggest dude on the field every play, so you could dominate everyone. He actually is just a very strong physical force. We see on his Twitter the dude can squat over 500 pounds, and so despite being a little undersized for a Division 1 tight end, I think he has the strength and that physicality to make up for it. Um, to me, he's a guy I'm more excited for his blocking abilities than the pass catching side of things. He can make plays in the past game, and he's a tough dude to bring down. He's big, physical, and like I said earlier, very strong lower body, squatting 500 pounds. So he's really tough to bring down. But I think he brings the most value to the team in the blocking department, and that's kind of what I'm excited for. I think he's a dude that can go get his hands on backers at the second level and spring those bigger runs, more consistent 5-6 yard runs, which is something Eastern struggled with last year at times in the run game. With Tuna becoming more of a bell cow type back, I think we're going to lean more on the power run game. And to do that, you got to have dudes that can get up to the second level to, make sure you could get 4 to 6 yards a play, or else you're constantly behind the sticks, depending on Kiko to go make a big play. So I'm just excited to have a guy like Landon in here that could be a physical force right away and go get hands on the second level and dominate. So super excited to see Landon on the red in 2024. Alrighty, next recruit up is two-star offensive lineman coming out of McClemens High School in Oakland, California, Ahmad Robinson. Ahmad's just a massive human. The dude's coming in at 6'7", 285 pounds as a freshman. The dude is huge. Um, and to pair with being a huge dude, the guy is an athlete. He can move exceptionally well. Dude is fast for being the size that he is. He can go chase down his running back on a breakaway run and go make a play, go make a block 30 yards down the field, blocking in some corner trying to tackle the running back at the last minute. It was just very extremely impressive to me. Ahmad blows dudes off the ball and has extremely good run blocking form. McClemens was more of a run blocking team, but Ahmad will blow dudes off the ball. He keeps his hands in tight, doesn't get too grabby. He kind of clamps down and drives dudes back. He's not undisciplined. He doesn't rip dudes to the ground, trying to make that highlight pancake block. But he just dominates physically and pushes dudes over. Overall, this looks really, really well, really, really polished in the run blocking game. His pass blocking looked okay. We didn't see a ton of snaps. McClemens, like I said, McClemens is one of those ground and pound type teams, so we don't see a ton of snaps of his pass pro, but the form looks good in the few snaps we see, and he doesn't get too passive. Um, to me, he seems like more of a run blocking first type guy, and I like to see that at Eastern. I think that's been kind of the more of a weakness of the offensive line at Eastern the last couple of years, and it's good to see a little bit of addressing that. I think Robinson's a dude that could play either guard or tackle at Eastern. He has the size of a tackle, but he could play that guard spot too, being a really dominant run blocker, a polar type guy. We'll see. He's a dude that I think has potential to play pretty early into his career. Coming in, already 285 pounds. He only needs to add, 20 pounds to be a big, big boy in that run game. So yeah, super excited to see what Ahmad does. Would love to see him here pretty soon. Got to keep an eye out for him in fall camp. Okay, next recruit we're covering here is junior college offensive lineman at a Mount San Jacinto College. Don't correct me on the pronunciation there. I don't know it. He's out of Vista Murrieta High School in Murrieta, California. David Shin. David is a bounce back from Utah Tech. So I believe he spent 3 falls at Utah Tech, or 3 years at Utah Tech, only using 1 year of eligibility there in a red shirt, and then he transferred to the junior college, played 1 season at the junior college, and now he transferred to Eastern Washington. So he has 2 years of eligibility left, from my understanding. I could be wrong because eligibility is so confusing now. He's a interior offensive line guy. He's listed at 6'4", 270 pounds by Eastern, but last fall by the junior college he was listed at 6'4", 295. So I'm assuming he's going to be somewhere in between there for weight wise. He's a dude that will probably step in right away at one of those interior offensive line spots rotating in. He's a dude that doesn't pop off the page with athleticism, but he has a quick first step. He gets his leverage quick, and he has enough athleticism to block effectively. He's a really good run blocker. He plays low to the ground and drives guys back, creates that space, and he always blocks through the whistle, which is fun to see. He has good hands placement and keeps his hands working throughout the play. He doesn't, get lazy with his hands and use his shoulder too much. His feet never stop pushing. He'll drive guys back. He's a good pass blocker. He has solid, powerful hands. He blocked well at the left tackle spot at JUCO, even though he's really more of a natural interior offensive lineman guy. So he has good eyes. He picks up those delayed blitzes and stunts really well. He can keep up with a quick edge rusher on the edge, even though he's not the most athletic guy you've ever seen in the world. I think he's a dude, like I said earlier, I think he could rotate in at one of the interior offensive line spots as early as next year, if not the following, with Luke Dahlgren moving on. I'm not sure if he's coming back or not really right now, but, he's a balanced player with a little lean towards the run blocking side of things, and he's just a big, mean, gritty interior offensive lineman that'll bust his butt for his guys. Alrighty, next recruit we're talking about here is interior offensive line recruit from Gregory High School in Modesto, California, Ethan Lowell. I believe Ethan is a walk-on guy coming in at 6'4", 270 pounds, and he played in a really tough league down in California, which is kind of why I think he was one of the lower recruited guys. He doesn't jump off the page as an athlete, especially because he's playing these schools that are actually really good, have really good fronts. But he's a really crafty player that comes in with some really good fundamentals. He's able to use his footwork and his hand placement to to create creases even when he has bad pre-snap leverage. Say there's a run to the gap to his left, and the defensive tackle is lined up perfectly in that gap. Ethan's able to take his first step and get the leverage he needs, and then use his hand placement to get that defensive tackle out of the gap just enough to let his running back go behind them. And I really like to see that, just because it shows that he doesn't rely solely on his size to make blocks in high school. Um, he's not a jump off the page athlete, but he has the really solid fundamentals that I like to see. He has a really solid foundation that the coaches in Cheney will be able to build off of. I think he's one of those guys that once he adds his weight, he has the fundamentals to play. He's going to need to add probably 20 to 30 pounds to get up to, you know, your average Eastern interior offensive lineman nowadays. He's 270 pounds now. He probably needs to get up close to 300, 310 pounds. It's crazy to think about, but, that's kind of the size you got to be nowadays. Um, I really liked how he could create some space with a big tackle on him, and he was able to handle 3 and 4 man fronts. And another thing that I really love to see is he was able to get up to the second level when double teaming. Double team blocks where you're passing the nose tackle off to the guard, and then you go get a backer. He really excelled in that in his tape, and it was something that I was really impressed with, and got me really excited for uh, for what Eastern likes to do in the run game. So yeah, really excited about Ethan. I can't wait to see him develop into a stud. All right, next recruit we're covering here is offensive lineman out of Canada, Vernon Secondary School, in Vernon, British Columbia, Canada. He's listed at 6'5", 260 pounds, and he's a dude that really impressed me type wise. He's a dude that can move impressively well for a big guy. He has some insane speed and agility for a dude that plays left tackle at 6'5". He played middle linebackers at times on his defense in up there in Canada, which is just ridiculous. You don't see a dude that's fast enough to play middle linebacker, but big enough to play left tackle very often. Um, he's a dude that he played Canadian football up there in British Columbia, so he has a lot of pass blocking film, not quite as much run blocking film, down the middle as most typical recruits get, but he looks really good as a pass blocking tackle. To me, he looked dominant as a pass blocking tackle. I have never seen so many pancakes out of a pass set in my life before. He's a dude that's big enough to deal with power right in his face, bull rushes, but he's also very athletic and he keeps up with any kind of speed around the outside. He has really good hands. He keeps his hands inside. He doesn't get them outside. He has very strong, powerful upper body and core that allows him to just drive dudes into the ground, even when his legs aren't in a spot to really drive someone back. Um, really is impressive. Like the pass blocking film jumped out the tape at me. He's a really good run blocker overall as well. With his athleticism, he can get outside and go get his hands on those smaller defenders really, really well for them. He was used as a polar out to the outside, like I was just saying, blocking defensive backs and linebackers on the second level, trying to spring those big runs on the outside. You know, in Canadian rules football, you can't have 2 yard runs. You gotta get 5 yards of play. And he's a dude that can spring those bigger runs on the outside there. He drives dudes back, keeps his feet moving, and overall he's just dominant, man. Great hand placement as well. Gets his hands inside and clamps down. But I think the only thing he really needs to work on is just get bigger and stronger overall, and that will happen with the Eagle Strength Program. He's a dude I'm super excited for. I think he'll be a sleeper for the 2025 season at that tackle spot. He's a dude with the athleticism to develop into a stud on the Eagle offensive line. All right, next recruit we're covering here is offensive lineman out of El Toro High School in Lake Forest, California, Nick Brown. Nick is listed at 6'5", 265 pounds. I know he's a guy that he was over 300 pounds his junior year and lost a lot of that dirty weight, and so now he's coming in more of that 265 is a lot of healthy weight, and it's good to see there. Um, Overall, he plays with a lot of personality. He's a fun guy to watch. He'll give you a post-pancake celebration, a choreographed touchdown celebration. He's just a fun guy to watch. He's a really solid pass blocker. He has great hands in the pass blocking game. He does a great job chopping edge rushers' hands off of him, knocking them to the ground. And once he gets his hands on guys, it's just over. He just shuts it down on that right there. I think placement might be something he needs to get coached up on a little bit. Sometimes he can get out on the shoulder pads a little bit too much, but that's okay. That's going to get cleaned up with the coaching staff at Eastern. It will happen. He's an okay run blocker. He's not the most dominant guy I've seen on tape doing these breakdowns, but he has good feet. He's really crafty with it, and he's able to create holes by using his footwork to create leverage and kind of push that defender out of the hole and create that crease off his butt for his running back. I'd like to see him drive dudes off the ball a little more, but also that could just be a scheme thing. He seems like a guy that has the potential to do that perfectly fine. He was used as a puller a ton in their offense when they ran, and he did a really good job using his athleticism to go get his hands on linebackers up at the second level. He did a really good job of that. He's an okay athlete. He's not the most athletic guy you've ever seen in the world, but he moves well for being the size that he is. He was a lot bigger in his high school tape, like his junior and sophomore years. Really big, like 300-plus-pound guy, and he moved pretty well for being that big. Now that he's lost a little weight, I think he moves really well. He's listed at 265, but he already looks like he's about at playing weight. I think he might add maybe another 10, 15 pounds of muscle, but he's not a guy that the coaches are going to want to dirty bulk up. He reminds me a lot of Matt Shook. Same number, plays really similar, both fiery guys that'll go fight for their guys. Big work ethic with a lot of personality. So they're really fun to watch. I think he'll be a developmental guy, but he'll be a fun guy to watch here these next couple of years. Okay, next recruit we're covering here is defensive end out of Faith Lutheran High School in Las Vegas, Nevada, Clayton McCarroll. Clayton is listed at 6'3", 230 pounds, and he's a dude with just a lot of athleticism at that defensive end spot. He's a really high motor that plays the game relentlessly, just pursues, and makes a lot of his plays that way, just with that pure athleticism and speed. like I said, he's a dude that gets off the ball very quick and just pursues relentlessly. He moves extremely well for a defensive lineman. He's impressively fast on tape. He can keep up with anyone in the first 5 yards of a sprint. Um, his defense in high school, their scheme was this slanting scheme that I personally hate. My high school did it. I hated it. That basically is trying to just eliminate the defensive line and offensive line from each play. And he was able to really excel in that defense. It's really hard to play well in that slanting type defense. Basically, the offensive tackle knows which way you're slanting before the play, every play, pretty much. You're just slanting to a strength. And Clayton has that athleticism and the quickness to excel in that defense and get off the ball so fast that the tackle doesn't have a chance at him. Overall, he's a really good run defender. He's able to handle pullers, trying to kick him out, knock them back and make a tackle. He really sheds effectively, and like I've been hitting on, the pursuit is just the key to his game and gets him in the right position more times than not. He's a talented pass rusher that is still very raw. He's able to just kind of out physical guys and run by them right now. He just has a lot of talent, and he doesn't really have, from on tape, it didn't really look like he had a true pass move quite yet, but that's something that will be kind of his number one goal once he gets to college, is developing those pass moves. I think he's a dude that has a lot of talent. He's just very raw right now. He has the potential to develop into like a game wrecking type defensive end, but I think he's going to need a couple years to develop, learn a couple pass rushes, put on a couple pounds and adjust to that physicality of a Division I offensive line. But yeah, I think he's a dude with some game record potential once he develops those pass rushing moves with the athleticism and that speed that he has. So I can't wait to see what Clayton develops into at Eastern. Next up is defensive end at Nooksack Valley High School in Everson, Washington, John Stremler. He's another small school gem out of that 1A Northwest Conference, along with the Linden Christian guys, a tough conference up in the 1A, up in the Northwest there. He played a lot of middle linebacker his senior year. There's kind of limited film, but in the film I did find, he played middle linebacker. The dude was a tackling machine there, but to me, he doesn't really have that middle linebacker skill set that I'd be looking for at the college level, but he looks more like a defensive end to me. He's a very strong guy that has just a nose for the ball, despite not being the most athletic guy you've ever seen in the world. He just produces. He makes a lot of tackles. I believe he led the league in tackles his senior year up there in the Northwest Conference. He's a dude that gets out the ball quick and he plays his responsibility well. He's a good run defender and a very strong guy. He's able to shed blockers really easily to go make tackles, and he's a guy that won't over pursue, and he's going to be a very consistent tackler. I like to see that because I think Eastern's gotten burned in the reverse game and the cutback game a lot the last couple of years. Having a more gap sound slash, you know, keep his responsibility guy at that edge spot will be important in containing the run game, keeping those big plays from being big plays. We don't see a ton of his pass rushing tape overall, but in the snaps we do see, he's a good bull rusher that he's able to drive dudes back pretty easily and shed them once he gets to the quarterback. But I think active hands will be something he's going to be coached up on, making sure he's ripping, using a swim move or something, trying to get those linemen's hands off of him in college. But one thing he does well when he's pass rushing is he gets his hands up if he's not going to get home, and he's able to swat down balls to the line of scrimmage. He did that a decent amount in high school. There's multiple examples of that on his highlight tape. He's already coming in with good size at the DN spot for an Eastern defensive end, but I think he'll likely redshirt. But he does have that size to rotate in a freshman if need be. He'd probably rotate in on some more short yardage slash running downs as a big defensive end, replacing a smaller, quicker guy. But overall, I think pass rushing and his speed slash athleticism will be where he's going to be focusing on improvement as he gets older. But yeah, he's a big kid that produced well in high school, and I can't wait to see what he develops into in Cheney. Next recruit we're covering here is three-star inside linebacker out of Coeur d'Alene High School, Shea Robertson. Shea is a guy that just hits like a truck. He is coming in at 6'1", 210 pounds, already has some decent size at that middle linebacker spot. Likely he'd want to add a little bit more weight as he gets older, but I think he's a guy that has the size to contribute early. Shea is a dude, like I said previously, he hits extremely hard. He plays really hard downhill, gets his key, and takes off to go make a play. But he's not a guy that over pursues and tries to do too much. I think that's something that Eastern's gotten burnt with a little bit at that middle linebacker spot in previous years where a middle linebacker is trying to go make plays that aren't his play to make. It gives up his own assignment and then gets burnt because that running back cut back into where that gap should have been. Shea plays very gap sound, and I think he's a guy that's not going to get too out of his own gap and out of his responsibility to where he's going to get burnt like we have in previous years. Um, Overall, Shea's a really solid run defender. He's a really smart player that seems to know what's happening before the ball is snapped in the run game. He's a dude that, he'll pick up on little tendencies, a guard that's light on their hand or something like that. He'll shoot that gap and go make that play in the backfield. He had tons of tackles for loss in high school, and I think that's something that honestly will continue in college. Really smart player. I think he has the ability in the brain to find those tendencies even at the college level. And the pass defensive side of things, he's not the flashiest athlete you've ever seen in the world, but he has lateral quickness and enough speed to be a decent zone coverage guy. I don't think he's going to be a guy that can keep up with, a slot receiver in one-on-one coverage, but you know, my kind of stylistic comparison for him is a more athletic Kettner Cup type guy. He reminds me a lot of the way Kettner Cup plays, very downhill, gap sound, and just overall a solid player. I think he's a guy. I think Shea is a guy that could contribute very early into his Eagle career, as early as next season. I think he could step into that middle linebacker role and be a game-changing type player if he really busted his butt and you know stepped up to the occasion next season. So I'm really excited to see Shea. I think the sky's the limit for him, and yeah, really excited for him. Next recruit we're going to be covering here is Connor Walker. He is a linebacker out of Ferndale High School. He was a two-star athlete through the recruiting process. Like I said, he was listed as an athlete through most of the recruiting process. So from my kind of watching tape before signing day, I kind of expected him to be announced as a safety, but he ended up being announced as a linebacker. So I think he has the speed and the athleticism to play a safety if he really had to. But I think with his bigger 6'3", 215-pound frame, he's a long frame. I think that linebacker spot probably makes more sense for him. Um, he could be. I think he's going to end up playing kind of that Ty Graham type role, a rover type dude that's between a DB and a linebacker. That would be my assumption. Um, for all I know, with him being 6'3", he could end up playing a damn edge rusher. But um, to me, I think he looks like a really dominant off-ball linebacker between a DB and a linebacker. Um, Rover-ish spot. He has the athleticism to be a really good cover linebacker, but you can kind of tell in his tape his home is in the box. He played safety, but like it was it really safety? Not really. Like he's playing 8 yards off the ball, making tackles for losses, basically just playing a deep linebacker. I think Ferndale just kind of put him there because he was the best athlete on the field, and they're like, if we put him at this spot, he can make a play at any corner of the field, and that's kind of what he did in their defense. He was their dude that went and make a tackle on whatever play he could, and it's exciting to see an athlete like him be at the linebacker spot. He has a frame to put on some pounds and be a big physical force in the box, as well as be a very athletic cover guy. So I'm just excited to see where his role goes. I literally think he could be anywhere from an edge rusher to a damn safety. He's really athletic. He has a frame to play any of those positions. So we'll just kind of see where he develops. He's a guy to keep an eye on in fall camp, and yeah, I think he's gonna be a really fun guy to watch on the red. Okay, next up we got Tice Donovan, a two-star safety out of White River High School in Buckley, Washington. Tice is coming in with some excellent size for that safety spot at 6'3", 195 pounds. He's a big, long, physical guy from that safety spot that really impressed me in the run game side of things from that safety spot. Dude's just a tackling machine, man. He had 113 tackles the senior year and 15 tackles for loss from the free safety spot, which is extremely impressive to me. He's a physical guy that fits the run very well. He triggers and he's really aggressive to make those tackles up near the line of scrimmage once he has his read. I don't think he's gonna have issues adjusting to bigger, more physical running backs and stuff like that. Being the size that he is, and being a guy that really likes to lay a hit down, he's not afraid to hit at all. He's a guy that really seems to crave contact and go hit guys, which is a fun thing to see from that safety spot. I think coverage wise is where he's going to improve more in college. He has all the tools to be a good cover guy, but I think coverage is more of the weakness of his game right now. He has good speed and great length to go up and get a ball and pick a ball off, and he has good hips overall. But I think coverage just will be his side of his game where he's looking to improve more his first couple of years of college. He's a really smart player in coverage though, and he'll be able to point out, know what route is coming pre-snap, point out to his teammates, recognize, oh, that audible's four verts, and let his teammates know what's coming. Um, One thing I really like about his game, he's a turnover machine, man. He forced 8 turnovers his senior year just by himself. He had 6 forced fumbles, 2 picks, and 1 pick six. Turnovers are really important for that Eastern defense, as well as he made those plays in big moments in games. Fourth down stops for tackles for losses, forcing turnovers in the red zone when the defense is on the heels, or when his team's down in the fourth quarter, they'll go pick a ball off or go force a fumble, make a big sack on third down, something like that. He makes those plays in big moments, which is awesome to see. Um, Ty's overall, he really gets me excited with the size and speed combination there at that safety spot and his tackle abilities. But I think he's going to redshirt and kind of develop into a really elite, strong safety for the Eagles. So really excited for Tice. All right, so next recruit we're covering here is transfer safety out of UTEP. Mikel Broussard, I believe is how you pronounce it. He's a guy that only has 1 year of eligibility left, and he kind of had limited film for me to go over. He spent 5 years at UTEP, University of Texas at El Paso, as a minor. Um, he has 1 year of eligibility left, I believe, but eligibility is so weird. He's a sixth-year guy, so I'm assuming he just has that 1 year left, but who freaking knows? He might have some grad transfer loophole where he gets another year anyways. Who knows? Um, he like I said, he has limited film, so this film that's on screen right now is literally all I could find of him playing in college. But overall, he looks like a really physical safety that doesn't hesitate to come up and tackle in the run game, which is a good thing to see for what Eastern how Eastern depends on safeties to come up and tackle. He's very fast with some great hips and coverage. He's a dude that he just seems like a guy that likes to come up and hit in the box more than playing coverage and type stuff. He tries to hit stick guys all the time, and he's making tackles up, making uh, you know, plays up near the line of scrimmage, which is, a good thing to see. He didn't get a ton of playing time at UTEP. He had 48 total tackles in his 5 years at UTEP. He had 27 of them were in 2023, and he had 1 tackle for loss. He played a lot of special teams. He's more of a special teams guy at UTEP. But, I mean, overall, just looking at the film, he looks really solid, like a guy that should start in 2024. I think he's probably going to hopefully alleviate a little bit of the pressure off of a guy like Kentrell Williams, who played a lot of snaps in 23 and just kind of got beat up after making all those plays in the run game that, once Kentrell was out, it was really tough at that safety spot tackling wise. So, overall, I think Mikel's a dude that looks like a really good athlete. He's coming in at 6 foot 195, so he has the size and the physicality that you need to succeed at that strong safety spot for Eastern Washington. It's hard to say because we just don't know a ton about him. But overall, I think he'll be a good player that steps in right away and makes a good impact. So, excited to see what happens with him in 2024. Alrighty, next recruit we're covering here is 2-star defensive back out of Puyallup High School, Josiah Good. Josiah is going to be playing safety for the Eagles, I believe. He's listed at 6'2", 165 pounds. He's a tall, long safety, really rangy guy that has some really great speed. He played corner in high school on defense, and he played they played a really soft zone type defense that, we saw a lot of his zone coverage abilities playing similar to what a safety does at Eastern Washington and, keeping everything in front of him. He did a good job with that. And what gets me excited is his ability to accelerate on the ball. He has closing speed that's like really impressive, and it allowed him to pick off a ton of balls in high school. Um, he was a ball hawk in high school, a dude that just baited for interceptions at all times and whenever he could. Um, I think he was a guy that most quarterbacks just kind of avoided going over there because they didn't want to throw a pick. Um, he does show some physical ability in the screen defense game. He fights through those wide receiver blocks on the outside to go make plays, which is a good thing to see. He's a skinny guy, so he's not physically quite there weight wise to be playing safety right away. And with Eastern's defense, the safeties make a lot of tackles, and that's kind of how it's always been. Um, he'd be playing more of a free safety role, so he'd probably be the deeper guy, not technically making quite as many tackles, but it is something that I think we would want to see him improve on is just getting a little bigger, getting a little more physical in the run game. But I mean, he plays hard, and he's a dude that will give you full effort. Um, he has the potential to be a really great safety here. He has the frame and the athleticism to do it. He's a ball hawk. He goes and forces turnovers, and I think that's really important for what Eastern likes to do defensively. So, yeah, really excited to see what Josiah develops into. I think he has the potential to be a stud at Eastern Washington. All right, next and final recruit for this early signing period, 3-star cornerback out of Eastside Catholic High School in Sammamish, Washington. Ambrose Marsh, please correct me on that pronunciation there. I'm sure I am pronouncing your first name wrong. Um, he is listed at 6'1", 175 pounds, coming in already just about playing weight. Uh, he played mostly safety in high school, playing a lot of soft zone coverage, playing it being a deep safety. Playing that zone coverage, taking advantage of his closing speed to go pick balls off. He's a great playmaker, kind of ball hawk type player. He's one of those dudes that he bait for interceptions and he picked the ball off. And he was a kick returner in high school, really good kick returner in high school. So as soon as he picked that ball off, he turns into kick returner mode and wants to take that ball to the house. Um, he's a dude with all the tools you need to be a lockdown corner at Eastern Washington. We haven't really seen him play much man coverage, but he really excelled in zone coverage, which is what I think Eastern kind of runs a lot of the time, is kind of that softer zone coverage. He plays that zone really well. He has great closing speed, like I said earlier, that allow him to break up those passes and pick them off, and kind of baits quarterbacks into throwing to him more than they probably should. He's a dude that can flip his hips very quickly and change direction, really smooth, quick hips, and he has a lot of experience with that soft zone coverage, which is good because some guys only run man in high school, and adjusting to hey, this I have to pass this guy off to go cover this other guy on the right, can be tough for them to adjust to. He plays okay in the run game. He's not afraid to come up and hit. He's an okay tackler that will come up and hit. Being a safety, he had a lot of experience in doing that in high school. Uh, you know, he attempts his fair share of hit sticks that sometimes don't work out too well, but you know, it's good to see the confidence to go come up and try to make that hit in the box. He's a guy with all the tools he needs to contribute early if need be. If that job becomes available, I think he's the guy that could go take it. But more than likely, we'll see him redshirt and develop. With Marlon Jones leaving, there might be a job open in the corner spot, but we also might see a portal entry. And, I think Marsh is a guy that has the potential to compete there, but he'll probably just develop. So excited to see what Marsh develops into. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Put a lot of work into it. I know it's kind of shaky on the delivery side of things, but I did do a lot of preparation, watching film, writing notes down, writing outlines out for each player, trying to get as much information across as I could in that 2 minute, 20-second time slot for the Twitter videos. Um, you know, we'll see how it goes this February if I end up doing it in a different format. But you know, to kind of bring it all together, really excited about this recruiting class. Um, is a recruiting class that I'm extremely excited for. I think it's going to be one of our better we've had here at Eastern Washington in a number of years. As I said in the intro there, um, just juice for some of these guys. I think it complements what we want to do as Eastern Washington well. I can't wait to see how some of these guys contribute on the field early in their careers, because I think there's a number of them that will, contribute as freshmen or redshirt freshmen here. Um, uh, but kind of bookending this, or wrapping up this early signing period, um, looking into the future for Eagles Power Hour. Um, there's a few episodes that I'm kind of looking to make here in the coming weeks before or coming months, I should say, before late signing period ends up coming here. Um, I want to kind of do a season recap episode of the 2023 season, talk about what went well, what went bad uh, during the season. Kyler wasn't available to do kind of a season recap episode, so I want to talk about that. And then once we have a defensive coordinator, if you guys did not know, defensive coordinator Jeb Kopp was fired at the end of the year or let go, um, and so once a defensive coordinator is hired, I'm gonna do a episode talking about the new DC, where he's from, his resume and all that. So, what defense they run, X, Y, Z. So, um, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I apologize if it's all janky and has some wacky, cuts and a lot of stuttering and a lot of because this is kind of my first time actually podcasting, but I really enjoyed doing this. It was a lot of fun, a lot of hard work, but labor of love. I love Eastern Washington, so yeah. If any of you guys have specific episodes or specific things that you want me to cover on Eagles Power Hour, shoot me a DM at Patrick Frakes on Twitter, PatrickFreaks. I'm open to all criticism and all suggestions. I know I'm not the best as of right now, but yeah, really appreciate everyone listening. Just excited to see where this thing goes. Kyler will be jumping on as much as he can here in the offseason as well as next season. He's a busy man, so we might not get to see him a ton, but yeah, I hope you guys don't hate me. Alrighty. Thanks for listening, everyone, and go Eags.